The Nagasaki and Hiroshima incidents refer to the nuclear bombings that occurred in Japan during World War II. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima, and on August 9, 1945, another atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. The bombings were carried out as a part of the United States military strategy to end the war with Japan, which had been ongoing since 1941. The bombings resulted in an estimated 200,000 deaths, with many more suffering from long-term effects such as cancer and other illnesses caused by radiation exposure. The decision to drop the bombs has been the subject of much debate and controversy. Some argue that the bombings were necessary to end the war quickly and save lives that would have been lost in an invasion of Japan, while others argue that the use of atomic weapons was unnecessary and inhumane. The bombings also played a significant role in the development of international relations and the arms race during the Cold War. The event served as a powerful demonstration of the destructive potential of nuclear weapons, leading to increased efforts to control their spread and use through international treaties and agreements. During World War II, the United States, under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, embarked on a top-secret program to develop an atomic bomb. This program was code-named the Manhattan Project and brought together some of the world's leading scientists and engineers to work on developing this new weapon. In July 1945, the first successful test of an atomic bomb was carried out in Alamogordo, New Mexico. With the successful test, the United States had the capability to produce and use atomic bombs in warfare. At the time, Japan was one of the few remaining Axis powers and had been resisting Allied forces in the Pacific with fierce determination. The Japanese military leadership had demonstrated a willingness to fight to the death rather than surrender, leading the United States to consider various options to bring the war to a swift conclusion. After much debate and consideration, President Harry S. Truman, who had taken office after Roosevelt's death, authorized the use of atomic bombs on Japan. On August 6, 1945, a B-29 bomber named Enola Gay dropped the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, on the city of Hiroshima. The bomb exploded with a force of 15 kilotons of TNT, instantly killing an estimated 70,000 people and causing extensive damage to the city. Despite the devastation caused by the first bomb, the Japanese government did not immediately surrender. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb, codenamed Fat Man, was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. The bomb exploded with a force of 21 kilotons of TNT, killing an estimated 40,000 people and causing widespread destruction. On August 15, 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender, effectively ending the war in the Pacific. The decision to use atomic bombs on Japan has been widely debated and continues to be controversial to this day. Supporters of the decision argue that the bombings helped to end the war quickly, saving countless lives that would have been lost in a prolonged ground invasion of Japan. Others argue that the bombings were unnecessary and inhumane, with many innocent civilians being killed or suffering from radiation exposure. In the aftermath of the bombings, the world was forever changed. The use of atomic weapons ushered in the nuclear age, with countries around the world racing to develop their own nuclear arsenals. The bombings also led to increased international efforts to control and limit the spread of nuclear weapons, with the establishment of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and the signing of various treaties and agreements, including the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had a profound impact on the Japanese people and the world as a whole. The immediate aftermath of the bombings was a scene of devastation and destruction. Buildings were flattened, and the streets were filled with rubble, debris, and the bodies of the dead and injured. The bombings caused enormous suffering and long-term health problems for those who survived, many of whom experienced severe burns, radiation sickness, and other injuries. The bombings also had far-reaching political and social consequences. Japan's surrender marked the end of World War II and set the stage for the post-war era. The war had a profound impact on Japan's society, economy, and political system, leading to widespread social and political changes. In the United States, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki led to a growing awareness of the dangers of nuclear weapons and the need for international controls on their development and use. The bombings also fueled the arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War, with both countries working to develop ever more powerful nuclear weapons. Today, the legacy of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki continues to be felt. The cities have been rebuilt and are now thriving centers of industry and culture, but the memories of the bombings and their impact on the people who lived through them remain vivid and poignant. The bombings have also sparked ongoing debates about the ethics of using nuclear weapons in warfare and the need for international cooperation to prevent their use in the future. In addition to the physical and political consequences of the bombings, there were also cultural and artistic responses. The bombings inspired many artists, writers, and filmmakers to create works that explored the themes of nuclear war and the devastating impact of technology on humanity. The bombings also had a profound effect on Japan's cultural identity. In the years following the war, there was a growing sense of disillusionment with Japan's traditional values and a desire to embrace modernity and Western-style democracy. This led to a period of artistic and intellectual ferment, with many artists and writers exploring new forms of expression and questioning traditional cultural norms. The bombings also helped to spur the growth of the global peace movement, with activists around the world calling for an end to nuclear weapons and promoting peaceful coexistence among nations. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the legacy of the bombings, with many scholars and activists working to raise awareness of the dangers of nuclear weapons and to promote disarmament. The survivors of the bombings, known as hibakusha, have also become vocal advocates for peace, sharing their stories and calling for an end to nuclear weapons. Overall, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were a turning point in human history, marking the beginning of the nuclear age and forever changing the way we think about war, technology, and international relations. The legacy of these events continues to shape our world today and serves as a reminder of the need for continued efforts to promote peace and prevent the use of nuclear weapons.